Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this chilly Thursday morning. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm in Hartley. Chilly to say the absolute least. We're joined by meteorologist Jarrett Lansford, who is, of course, warning you on this first Load 6 weather day to seriously bundle up as you head out the door.
It's the coldest we've been yet this season, and we're barely above zero at this point. Literally, you could not get any colder, not hit zero in the metro. And that's before you factor in any kind of wind into the equation. So here's where we're at right now. One is our temperature above zero. Thankfully, we have kept that wind quiet so far, and that's key. We're going to pick the wind up here over the next couple of hours. So the wind chill that is at one above is not something that's going to last. And you can see a few spots where we're starting to get some of that change taking place, such as Columbus and Norfolk, where we're getting a little more wind. Notice that the temperature's up to 10 above in Norfolk, but it feels like it's below zero. That's the sort of thing that I'm expecting for the rest of the day today here, and especially this morning, where we're going to really feel that chill in the air, despite getting our temperatures to recover pretty nicely. We're going to start off right near 0 degrees and eventually make our way to 24, so it will be a nice warming process, and it's going to be sunny all the way. But that would be deceiving if you took that at face value, because that south wind is going to continue to increase, and as we do that here in the mid to late morning hours, that's going to add more bite to the air. South winds will gust up around 20-25 miles per hour, so when you're adding that to temperatures that are still in the teens to 20s, this is what it's going to look like wind chill wise. You can see that we'll have a few spots here this morning that stay in that 5, 10, even a little bit colder with the wind chills. That's the case all the way to the late morning. We're picking the wind up at this point. As we get into the afternoon, this is when we're at 24 degrees with our temperature, and it's still struggling to get even into the single digits above zero for how it feels out there. So make sure you're dressing warm. It's going to be the kind of day where you want the hat, the gloves, the heavy coat. The scarf's not a bad idea. It's going to be something you want. You want the kids to be staying plenty warm as well. It's not really going to change much as the day goes on. Now, as we head into the night tonight, what you're going to notice is the wind chill really doesn't change much. That's because our temperature is not changing much. After getting up to about 24, we only ever fall back to the upper teens for our lows tonight. So that keeps us in better shape for our night tonight. We'll have a little cloud cover around, and as we go into our day tomorrow, there we can see the improvement starting to move in, and we'll get our temperatures up into the mid-30s. So that will be improvement that we see, starting off with some sunshine amongst a few clouds, and then those clouds will continue to take over as we get into the afternoon for Friday. But 36 degrees is going to be quite the improvement from what we end up seeing today. So short-term blast of cold air that we end up seeing for today, and then we'll be starting to warm things up for Friday. Saturday, we're also into the mid-30s for our highs. And yes, there's something I didn't talk about there.
Okay, so cold today, but we may see some snow on Saturday?
Yeah, it's trending more and more toward having some of that right on the edge of our area. And I think especially if you're north of the metro, you want to watch this because you could be looking at some snow accumulations for the afternoon and evening Saturday. Let's walk through it real quick and show you what we're looking at as far as that goes. We'll start the day quiet. Cloud cover in place, we'll be dry. There you can see the beginnings of it, though. As we make our way into the afternoon, we start to get a few flakes flying, Columbus, Norfolk, and we'll continue to swing this system in with some snow showers into the afternoon. The coverage will get a little more widespread as we get into the evening hours. Notice how that's especially true near and north of I-80. We are right on the edge of the system. And as we go through the evening, still building in some of that snow if you're north of the metro. So when we're talking about what we could see as far as amounts go, the metro's right on the edge. So we could be looking at maybe a coating, or if the system starts to trend southward, we could be adding on maybe an inch, maybe a little bit more out of this. As we get closer, we're going to continue to refine that. But you can see here how that line cuts right through the metro, and the bullseye is just to the north of some of those higher totals, where you're talking more like 3 inches or so, maybe a little bit more as you get toward the West Point, Sioux City areas. So something something we'll be tracking closely. If we do start to see that track get more into the metro, we may end up issuing a first alert 6 weather day for this. Right now, it looks like we're just on the edge enough to where the impacts are limited, but it's going to be worth watching closely if you have plans for Saturday evening. Colder behind that, no matter how things play out. We'll be at 20 for a high Sunday, and then as we head through next week, you notice that we do get a little bit more mild air consistently. Some 30s, some couple days that are up near 40. That's a little closer where we should be for this time of year. We haven't been able to say that in a little bit, so that'll feel better.
Yeah. There isn't 40. It's much more of the speed. Okay.
Yes.
In the meantime, of course, it's bitterly cold outside. How are traffic conditions looking?
Well, thankfully, once you get on the road, we're moving along pretty well. It's just a matter of getting the car up to speed, getting it warmed up, and getting yourself warmed up in the car is going to be kind of the problem. But as we are making our way, let me catch up to the camera. I didn't know we were doing exercise this morning. All right, that's how well the roads are moving in a lot of the spots on the metro. But here's one exception, and you can see that we do have a stalled vehicle on westbound I-80. It's not moving very well. That's the right shoulder that's blocked. It's pretty close to the traffic lane. There you can see it. Notice how it's right up against that white line. So you need to stay left if you're heading through this stretch. Use some caution if you're going to be driving through there. Now, thankfully, that's about it as far as issues in the early going. This has been one of the quieter starts to a commute that we've had this week. And yes, I said that with crossed fingers. We're hoping that holds. 72nd and L area, of course, with some of the construction that's ongoing there, it is quite slow as you make your way along L. And we've got a couple of spots that are showing that we're picking up the amount of traffic, but we haven't seen any issues come alongside that. And I'm really hoping that remains the case. Anytime you get a morning that's this cold, you want to try to avoid having to get out, exchange information, anything like that. So let's have a good commute, everybody.
Remember, too, another thing, the side streets are also still kind of packed in with snow as well.
We do still have some of that, and yesterday we had that sunshine that was out. I did see a couple of areas where we were melting that and then tried to refreeze them immediately. So something to keep in mind as you're heading home.
All right, Jared, thank you. Well, more now on that shootout that injured 3 Omaha police officers at a South Omaha gas station. The suspect in the case is dead, and one of the officers is out of the hospital. The other 2 are expected to survive. Now, this all started when police say a man shot another man at a grocery store near 30th and Ames. After tracking down the suspect to the Quick Trip near 32nd and L, police reportedly ordered the man to come out the bathroom. Police say the man shot at officers, leading them to return fire, killing him. We are still waiting to learn the identity of the suspect as well as the officers involved, and we still don't know the motivation behind that initial shooting. Now, we spoke with people living and working in the area at the time of the shooting.
Yesenia Cabrera owns a business right across the street from that Quick Trip. She tells us she was on a call when the shooting happened. Now, she says the incident makes her concerned for law enforcement.
And now our cops are getting, shot. It's like, we need them. We need our cops. That's what they're there for.
Following department protocol, the officers involved in the shooting are on paid leave. We're told they will be interviewed at a later time. The Douglas County Attorney's Office will also be briefed.
Governor Jim Pillen reacting to this news, saying, quote, the men and women of law enforcement put their safety on the line each and every day, and that we must support them and keep them in our prayers. Officials with Quick Trip also providing a statement. They say the safety of employees and customers is their top priority, and they are working closely with Omaha Police to assist in its ongoing investigation. Now, this is a story we have been following closely all day long yesterday. We're going to do the same today, right here on First Alert 6. For more information, you can go to our website, firstalert6.com.
Cerise, thank you. Over here back at the safety desk with Marie Kate, kind of going back to what we were talking about before, with some good tips on how to stay safe in this really cold weather.
Yeah, you can never be too overly cautious when it comes to the cold. Of course, when the temperature falls, that danger rises. And in 2023, unfortunately, more than 1,000 deaths happened here in America because of extreme cold or people getting hypothermia. So the Red Cross says if you go out in this extremely cold weather, you want to wear lots of layers, of course, and make sure they're loose pieces of clothing too. So don't forget your coat, your hat, gloves, water-resistant boots too. You can use a scarf to cover up your face and your mouth. When you are inside, if you choose to use a space heater or a fireplace, of course, keep anything that could catch on fire at least 3 feet away from that heat.
This past year, the Red Cross has responded to more than 48,000 home fires. And this time of year in particular, a lot of that is caused because people are just trying to stay warm.
Another thing to keep in mind, preventing carbon monoxide poisoning. You don't want to use an oven to warm up your home for that reason. And you also only want to use generators outdoors. So the Red Cross says it's also really important to check in on loved ones. Maybe you have some elderly neighbors who live by you. Really, really vulnerable in these cold temperatures. So check on them, make sure they're okay, especially if they're older or if they live alone.
Okay, that's a good tip. Marie Kate, thank you. We're back after this.
Welcome back, everybody. Taking a live look at 144th and West Dodge. The sun beginning to rise here in the metro. It's going to look pretty good today, but Jared has reminded us, do not be deceived. The Arctic air is here. It's only going to get worse, too.
Nature is going to lie to us today.
Nature is deceptive sometimes.
Yeah, it's going to look really nice. We'll have that sunshine, but it's just going to feel pretty chilly. This morning, it's already cold with the temperature. We're at 1 for our current temp. This is the coldest we've been so far this season. Thankfully, we have kept the wind at bay so far, and that has left us with a wind chill that is the same as the temperature right now. And that's the case in a lot of our towns, but it's not the case everywhere. Let me show you what the temperatures are doing. You can see we've dipped below zero in Bennington, Blair, Missouri Valley, several other spots were below zero with the air temperature. When I zoom things out, notice how much it's dropped off to the north and east. Denison, 11 below is the air temperature at this point. So it is brutally cold with the temperature. When you start to add in the wind, you see that for many spots the temperature that feels like temperature doesn't vary from the actual temperature. There are a few, and that includes off to the west, where we're starting to get a little more of a wind in Norfolk and Columbus. That's where we're heading for the rest of the day. As we pick up that south wind, it's going to counteract the warming that we end up seeing take place. So there's the temperature, and you see that we go from right near zero up to 24. We'll have a whole lot of sunshine through the course of the day, but it's never going to feel that warm, and that's because of that wind that we'll be picking up. Also notice as we go into the night tonight, we don't really drop off. We'll see a low about 17, so that works in our favor, sets us up for this being a short-term problem for us, but nonetheless, we have to deal with it today. There's those gusts continuing to ramp up through the rest of the morning and into the afternoon. Could get those 20, 25 miles per hour out of the south. So again, that cuts into it and kind of gives that bite to the air as we go through the rest of the day, even as that warming starts to take place. We're near noon here, and you can see that some of us are still struggling to get into the single digits below zero for the wind chill. And we'll get a little bit of progress in the afternoon, but that means we get above zero for how it feels. So despite temps in the 20s, it'll feel a lot colder than that. So bundle up. Here's what happens as we head through the night. Tonight you can see that we do start to get a little bit of progress with maintaining our wind chill. And as we get into the day tomorrow, we'll have some sunshine in the morning. We'll start to cloud up as the day goes on, but we'll get that temperature into the 30s, and that will lead to a day that feels a lot better. And actually, it's probably the best day of the weekend, our Friday, as we get that 36-degree high. It will start to cloud up as the day goes on. That's ahead of what I'm going to talk about here more in just a bit on Saturday. Similar temps for Saturday, but we do add in a chance for some snow to the equation. More on that in a moment. Sunday, it gets colder behind that system. No matter what happens, it will be a struggle to warm on Sunday as we try to get back to 20 degrees. Saturday now, with that snow. Cloudy to start, but dry. As we get into the afternoon, some snow showers start to work their way in from the west, and we'll start to fill in the map some, particularly if you are along and north of I-80 is where we have a better chance to see snow falling through the evening hours. The metro sits right on the edge of the system, and that's what's made this a little bit difficult on pinning down exactly how this plays out. You can see even off to the south of the metro are warm enough that we're trying to get some rain to take place with the snow. So a lot of factors at play, but I do think we see snow falling in the evening hours, and that continues into the nighttime hours. What that means is if you are north of the metro, you can be looking at a few inches of accumulation, particularly as you get closer to Sioux City. In the metro, we're talking a coating at this point, but the potential that does get a little bit higher. We could be seeing 1 inch, maybe even a little bit more than that, if we see any subtle shift in this track southward. So we'll be watching that. We'll first alert you if that becomes something that is more of a concern for us. Again, behind that system, it's going to be a struggle to warm up on Sunday. Cold day, we'll get back to 20 degrees, cloudy. Thankfully, not a lot of wind, but not the warmest of days for us. Pretty cold for Monday morning, too, as we'll be in the single digits. But check out that recovery, 34. That's a solid enough day for us on Mondays. We're starting off the new work week. Still, all of those temperatures you see right there, they're below average. We should be up near 40 for our high as we're going through these first days of December.
Okay, looking already to next week when we moved our truck event. Of course, it was going to be today, but due to the bitter cold temperatures, it just wasn't so safe to have it. But Tuesday is looking a little bit more promising.
Yeah, I pointed out the warmer temp on Monday. We even build on that for Tuesday. That means we start off the day in the mid-20s, so that's a little better than 1 degree for a morning temp, and we'll get up to near 40 in the afternoon. So certainly much better for getting that drive to take place. We hope to see you for that. Near 40 on Wednesday. We do have to watch for another chance to bring some moisture in as we get to the middle of next week. But even still, behind that system, we're still talking 30s for highs at this point. So not the extreme kind of whiplash that we've seen on our temperatures over the last week or so.
That looks so much better, Jared.
Yeah, level it up.
All right, thank you. Well, the Nebraska Supreme Court hears arguments in a case challenging the signatures collected for last year's medical marijuana petitions.
Yeah, the case brought by former state senator John Keene claims that fraud by petition circulators and notaries make the signatures invalid. A lower court already disagreed earlier this year with the Lancaster County judge, saying Keene didn't have standing to sue.
Mass invalidation of petition signatures is inconsistent with the high value that this court places on the initiative right. It is inconsistent with the Election Act, which facilitates, not undermines, the initiative process, and it is inconsistent with common sense.
Attorneys for the state argue that tens of thousands of signatures are invalid. The court is expected to make its decision in the next couple of weeks.
Happening today, the 2025 Lights on Dundee. The annual event brings together local merchants and the community. There will also be Christmas carols sung by local students and free trolley rides from Dundee Bank. The event's at 50th and Underwood and goes from 5 to 8 p.m.
Still ahead, Florida deputies face a wild eviction.
Now see the dramatic moment they remove a massive alligator from a roadway when we return.
Well, several Sarasota County deputies pulled off a massive and a memorable eviction after a 14-foot, 600-pound alligator was spotted blocking a road.
All right, let's take a look. So this is newly released video showing the gator already restrained as a skilled trapper directs deputies to get on a leg. One by one, they climb onto the thrashing reptile, working together, as you can see, to lift and slide it into the back of that truck there. The giant gator was safely relocated to an alligator farm, and deputies signed off with a fitting farewell. See you later, alligator.
I don't think this story gets any more Florida than that.
Also, like, look how many officers were helping to pick it up.
Well, how many 100 pounds? Yeah, that sucker's big.
Can you imagine you're just driving along and whoa, that's something I don't want to hit.
No, I can't imagine that. All my years in Florida, I never saw one on the loose. I saw it. Like,
That's probably good.
yeah, very good, very good. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get ready for our update in the Today's Show. You can watch it here on streaming, or you can watch it over the air. We sure hope you have a great day. Remember to bundle up.
For sure. Have a good one.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Thursday morning to you. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Aaron Hartley. It is a First Alert weather day to the bitter cold this morning. Here's Jared Lansford.
A clear sky is going to be deceiving today. One above is where we're at. Thankfully, we don't have much wind right now, but I anticipate that picking up over the next couple of hours, and so that wind chill will drop even as the temperature starts to go up. Here's where we're at right now. Most of us pretty close to zero in the metro. A few of us have gone below zero with our temperature, and especially to the north and the metro, 13 below the current temp in Denison. The wind chill pretty close to the temp right now, but again, as that wind starts to go from calm and pick up as the morning goes on, the wind chill is going to be a factor for us, and we won't really ever see that improve above the single digits above zero as we get gusts up around 20 to 25 miles per hour out of the south of the afternoon. High in the mid-20s, but feeling more like the single digits. As far as what we see on the roads, we do have a stalled vehicle that is in place. This is westbound I-80. This is just past 24th. It's on the shoulder, but it is pretty close to the traffic lane. There it is. You can see it's right up against the line. So you need to stay left as you head through that area. Use some caution as you go through there. Thankfully, not a lot of other issues that we're seeing. We are seeing the JFK really back up, though, as you're heading northbound and approach the Q area. So as you're heading through that stretch, be ready for some delays. Starting to get some slowdowns showing up eastbound on Dodge, as well as you get around 144th. Most of the rest of the metro moving well. Hopefully we can keep the issues at a minimum with how cold it is.
Jared, thank you. A shootout with police at a South Omaha gas station leaves a suspect dead. 2 officers were shot. A third was injured. All 3 are expected to survive.
Well, it is 7:28, and we are back with another update for you in 25 minutes. We'll see you then.